Hello and welcome to another episode of the Just Go Watch podcast. This week it's the dream team, Andy and Hatch. Just the two of us
That's
cutting
right.
out that dead weight. Exactly.
A different
And,
week, a different British voice in my ears.
yeah, what a treat! What a treat for you. This time you've only got to translate one, like as you're hearing it, instead of the two different voices.
Yes.
But we are reviewing the straight to Apple TV, starring the big men themselves, George Clooney and Brad Pitt, in Wolves.
Absolute dog shit.
I don't need
Absolute
I don't
fucking
need.
dog shit.
I do not need to see it to know it's dog shit.
The best intro in the business.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen,
for all of you newer listeners, this other British voice that you're hearing is actually Hatch, who is one of the co-hosts.
The main co-host, really, I suppose.
I don't know anymore.
Ditch said he was like, "Oh, you're basically part-time now," and I was like, "That's always been the case, my friend. Maybe every now and again I'm here for a few weeks in a row, but inevitably, I will go and then come back. I always come back.
I'm sure the regular listeners are happy to hear your beautiful British tones coming through their ears.
Yeah, and for those of you who aren't,
what was that? I'm buttering you up. Deej is killing me right now when he's listening. He's like, "What?
Why aren't they hating each other?" Yeah, I mean, for you, either non-native English speakers, or maybe you're just not from England. This is actually how English is supposed to sound, not the way that Deej enunciates.
Or I speak it.
Well, yours is a different country. You've taken ownership of English and done with it. You've had your merry way with it.
Yes, that's what we do as Americans.
Exactly. Well, listen, yes. I've not forgotten everything of how it works here. So why don't you get on with the old podcast mumbo jumbo?
Mumbo jumbo. Well, whatever you're listening to this show on, if you're watching it on YouTube, then you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and follow. If you're listening on a podcasting service, again, subscribe, follow us, leave us a review. We would love to hear from you. You can get in touch with us on social media on Twitter /X and Instagram at the Just Go Watch Pod. How was that?
That was perfect.
I almost started it going, if you're anything like us.
Yeah, get that one ready for when the sponsors inevitably come in.
They are.
Just Go Watch 10 for 10% off with generic products that we don't care
whoever
about.
That first sponsor is, we are going to love you like our first girlfriends.
Yeah. There'll be some love once the pennies start rolling in. Until that point, it'll be indifference.
What do we get from you?
Yeah, money, and then they get
I mean, obviously,
get something.
The Just Go Watch bump.
Yeah, massive bump. But yeah, so
until Apple Streaming Plus services they're exploding after this episode. All the subscriptions are gonna come flying in after they listen to us.
They'll put Disney to shame. That's for sure. There's actually been a couple of good things on Apple. Have you seen Jake Gyllenhaal did Presumed Innocent? Have you seen that?
No, this is the first time I've done anything on Apple, and I've got 7 days before I cancel it because I don't need another one.
No, there's some pretty good stuff. I would definitely recommend in the next 7 days Presumed Innocent.
Okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal is he's like I don't know what you'd call it, like a district attorney or something like that, who gets himself accused of murder.
That was a movie.
But we're not here to talk about that. Definitely, it's a series. It's like 6.
But I mean, that was a movie with Harrison Ford back in the
was it
80s, early 90s, maybe.
Oh, there you go. There's the reason why I don't know.
Shut up.
But we're not here to talk about all of those excellent bits of TV. We are here to talk about Wolves. As I said before, starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt, so some big numbers. Directed by John Watts, who I don't know. What's he done? Has he done much? Do we know him?
He has done all of the what's his Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair play. So we know him. With a runtime of 108 minutes, I don't have any budget or any box office, which is strange. Apple keeping their cards close to their
Yeah, they
chest.
are. Not even the budget, huh?
No, nothing. I've seen various little bits of what it could be, but nothing actually concrete. I wouldn't want to give anybody any wrong information. That's not what I'm about. I'm a truth teller.
We
Yeah.
are all about integrity on this podcast.
Exactly. And if you give your word, that's the measure of man. So
Very nice. I get that reference.
So yeah. So we'll just go straight in for the
All
platform.
right. Well, there goes that part. We'll
I
just say I
did.
won this week. I didn't have any competition.
Yeah. Well, you're here. You're here. So automatically, that's all. That's 2 points.
There you go.
Yeah, the plot of this one. Now, I did actually, before we started recording, I did have to really read up on this because I had forgotten, which is poor from me. Maybe that gives you some sort of indication of my thoughts on this film. But without further ado, and I won't go on too much. Not that I do normally, but essentially, George Clooney and Brad Pitt play a couple of fixers, guys who come in, a bit like the original Wolf from Pulp Fiction, who essentially clear up people's messes when they need it cleared up. They both get called for the same job after the Manhattan District Attorney needs some help getting rid of a young man in her hotel room. They're both loners, but have to work together to get rid of this guy who it turns out isn't actually dead and is alive, having taken some weird drugs, which he managed to acquire. They then link up, the three of them, and they basically have to try and return these drugs and make sure there is no evidence to suggest that there was any wrongdoing at the hotel or either with this district attorney. They develop a bit of a bond between the two of them, certainly, and maybe a little bit with this kid, and essentially end up giving the drugs back, making sure the kid doesn't tell anybody what happened, and themselves forming an even stronger bond before they realize that they've been set up. And then we cut to black as they seemingly take on their own employer in a big shootout.
Very good.
That's
That
about
sounds
it.
about right. Yeah, that sounds
That's
about
about
it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting better at those.
Yeah, right back into it. Like you never even stopped.
Like I never stopped. Exactly. Who needs Deej? What? So that was the movie. What were your thoughts and
All
feelings?
right. Well, this one caught me a bit off guard. I think you had suggested it, and I was like, oh, really, a Brad Pitt and George Clooney movie that's just getting dumped onto a streaming service. So I went in it with kind of, I don't want to say low expectations, just mixed expectations. I was pleasantly surprised. I had a good time with this movie. I actually watched it twice coming into this episode. That was a nice thing about the streaming. I could just sit on my couch and watch this movie a couple of times and really prep for the show, as not like usual where I just half-ass it. But I really liked George Clooney, Brad Pitt. I knew I was going into this movie. They have that chemistry. I think they've done 4 or 5 movies together, and they kind of ease right back into it. They got a good back and forth. I saw someone kind of compare it to The Nice Guys. I wouldn't go as far as to say this movie is as good as The Nice Guys, but yeah, kind of their chemistry was sort of online with that. They had some good one-liners back and forth. I like how Brad Pitt at the beginning, he's just sitting there watching Clooney do all the work. That just made me laugh for some reason. But anyway, they had good back and forth, so you really buy into their characters. Kind of like the kid, he starts out as kind of annoying, but he grows on in not only the characters, but us as well. So you really care about these 3 people. It's nice to see characters start sort of as their adversaries and kind of become friends through things there's a natural progression. That was nice to see. You usually don't see that now anymore. Everybody just likes everybody or hates everybody. There's no in between. I thought the movie was well shot and well paced. I was kind of surprised for a streaming service movie that looked this good. I don't think I ever really got bored. There was some, like I said, good dialogue between especially the 2 leads. I will say there were some pacing issues I'll get to in a minute here, but it's just ultimately I thought this was just kind of a fun caper movie, I guess you could call it that way, on a streaming service that you pop in and enjoy it for the evening. I am going to give it a little bit of bonus because they do play Phil Collins One More Night in the movie, and any movie that plays Phil Collins songs gets a little bit of love from me. I said the only thing really negative for me, there's some stuff that pushes a little over the line in the silliness. There's a chase sequence that goes on far too long. There's a dance sequence at a wedding that was just kind of goofy and out of place. There's some exposition dumps here and there. But like I said, I didn't really have high expectations, so it kind of hit right where I wanted it to be. I had fun with it. It made me laugh and it entertained me, and then it was sort of out of my life. So I'll give it a little extra love since it was on a streaming service and I didn't have to interact with the general public in a movie theater, and I'll give it a 7.
Oh wow, damn,
Yeah.
strong. Well, I know we did speak before we started recording. Probably going to have a bit of a disagreement here. Yeah, it's not like a full-on disagreement. I don't think this was absolute garbage. However, for me, this was I was bored a lot. I think the pacing really struggles. And there are some scenes that could be good, but they just either go on too long, like that chase sequence. I really dropped off from that one. It just kept going and kept going. And ultimately, I don't know. For me, I felt like it was Pitt and Clooney just. I don't want to say phoning it in because I don't think they were, but I don't think they were trying hard. And I think this was off the back of everything else they've done, they knew that they didn't have to be on their A game. And it was just like, oh, we'll just use our natural camaraderie because we know each other and we've got chemistry. So I don't know. For me, I just found it a bit boring. I didn't really know what the film wanted. The film didn't know what it wanted to be. It started off the first sort of opening 15 minutes. I was really invested. She's panicking. She calls him. He's super serious on the phone. How'd you get this number stuff? I love that kind of thing. It's almost like someone from the outside getting introduced to the John Wick universe.
Right.
And suddenly you've got there's a world of fixers and all this kind of thing. But then as the film just kind of opens up, for me, I just think like this has all become a bit ridiculous. Yeah. Like the chase sequence was silly. The dance sequence was fucking ridiculous. I was like, obviously, like you guys you're essentially assassins, right? Yeah. Okay. Your main thing is getting rid of a problem, right? But you're essentially like hardcore assassins. You've either killed people or you've disposed of bodies or whatever. And you don't ask questions, and you're like allowing some bloke at a wedding to basically like just kind of nudge you in a general direction. Oh, like I'll get into it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna start rambling right now.
This feels like a regular episode to me now.
Deej, please let me get a word in. There just seemed to be like the film didn't really know which lane it wanted to be in and switched too quickly. I did like them, but again, how much was that this is a good character and well written, or was it just, oh, I like George Clooney and I like Brad Pitt, essentially, because the characters don't bring a lot really themselves. And then the story I just thought got really convoluted and a bit like, this is ridiculous now. This is getting silly, to the point where it is ridiculous right at the end. And then that last final scene when they're in the breakfast bit, I was like, you've completely lost me here. What the fuck is going on now? And I had to rewind a couple of times. And again, thank God it's streaming because I could actually do that.
Yeah.
Even just before we started recording, I had to again reread this plot because I was like, wait, what are they trying to do? And for me, when it's a bit ambiguous, like, okay, maybe it's me, maybe I'm a simple guy. I need the A, where they start, and I need to know. I don't necessarily know how they're going to do it, but I need to know what they're attempting to do. And in this, it just kind of isn't clear, and it's just a bit meh. And that is how I would describe this film. Just a bit meh, really. Yeah, I think this is a fine streaming watch. I can see why it wasn't released in cinemas, because ultimately this film wouldn't make its money because, I mean, in modern cinema now, you have to be a specific genre that
Yeah,
you can't make
yeah.
there's that famous interview with Matt Damon on, is it the Hot Wings thing, where he's talking about you can't make these kind of movies anymore. So this is why they do it, because it wouldn't. So for me, I don't know. Maybe I'd go with a 5.
Oh, all
It's
right.
it's not
Yeah.
it's not terrible. It is probably bog standard average. Yeah. So I'll
All
go with
right.
that.
Well, a little low, I would say, but yeah, fair enough. I get it. It's sort of, I don't know. Like you said, it's not for a broad eyes. I guess if you're a George Clooney and Brad Pitt fan, that's sort of the buy-in. Even if you're not, then you kind of lose interest in it. But can I say just real quick, this seems to be the year of the good-looking leading man, right? I mean, yeah, these two guys. We started with Ryan Gosling. He's been in a movie. Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
a couple weeks ago we had some love for James McAvoy. So it just seems like the handsome leading man is. I mean, I think it kind of started back in January when the movie Psycho joined the Just Go Watch podcast. But
Well, that's what, and then because of that, Hollywood, I can only imagine, were
right,
then
they
clamoring.
followed
They
suit.
just thought, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, all we need now is Henry Cavill to be starring in
Yeah,
a film coming up,
he
and
was in
then
a
boom,
movie. He
we've
was
got
in two
the.
movies this year.
Was he in? What's he been in?
Yeah,
What's he done?
that
Have
home.
we done him?
We actually did 2 episodes. Was it Argyle and the
Oh, the Ministry of
Uncanny
Untimely Warfare.
Warfare? See?
Yeah, was Argyle this year?
Yeah, that
Oh,
was.
goodness,
I think that
I
was
think
way
it
back at the
was. I
beginning of the
think it
year.
was.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, fair. Okay, well, in that case, we complete the set. That's a full house,
That's right.
as the movies go. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think.
I could kind of see your point on there. Yeah, but I don't know. It's just one of those things. I guess if you buy into it
Mm,
a
mm.
little more easily, as I did, I guess, because like I said, I went into it with again not low expectation. I wasn't like, oh, what's this shit? It was more like, okay, I kind of know what this is gonna be, and it fell right in line with that.
Yeah, I think if they'd kept it the serious, like you can have a serious movie with moments of comedy, right? Whereas this, apart from that first 15 minutes, you know, you could feel it's the type of movie where someone could fall off of, I don't know, the roof of a house and be fine. Be like, yeah, that's gonna sting in the
Yeah.
morning. Do you know what I mean? The confidence
Yeah, when they
suddenly
especially when, like,
went.
the kid he gets hit by the car and lands on his feet.
Here's a, yeah, and you're like, oh right, okay, we've
Yeah.
gone full, like we're just playing silly with it, you know.
Yeah, that was the
Um,
points in the movies where I was like, "Okay, that you needed to reel that back in." And just like the dance thing, it was almost like they said, "Oh, let's see if we can get these 2 handsome leading men that everybody knows about and make them in this stupid dance and be goofy." You know what I mean? It was like, "Okay, you don't need that. That's not the tone we're looking for in this movie."
exactly. And whereas I know you compared it to Nice Guys, that film is like comedy, right?
Right.
This was almost like, we're not comedy, but we're also not a serious thriller. We're just going to have a foot in both camps and not really commit to either. Um,
I don't know.
we'll rely on some of their dialogue between themselves. And again, like I said, the first 15 minutes, it was like quite tense. Like she's there, like panicking. I need to call this number. I need help. What the fuck? Um, and 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 then boom, they come in, and I was like, yeah, this could be good. I'd love a straight talking George Clooney in a film where he is like kind of no nonsense, you know. Um, and then Brad Pitt as well, and maybe like things happen where they're both serious, and then something weird happens, and then they're like looking at each other like, was that you? Did you do that? No, I didn't do that. Do you know what? You can still do it, but yeah, like a silly chase scene. Oh yeah, I tell you what, let's have them chasing some bloke in his pants, or his underwear. For you Americans.
For
Sorry,
us, Mac, I was gonna translate, but thank
he
you for
weren't
doing
he
that.
weren't wearing pants, man. That guy was in his undies.
That's what the audience would sound like, actually.
Yeah. God damn this guy.
What is this
Bring
line we
that
talking
Deej.
about? Damn pants.
Bring back that Deej guy. At least we could understand
We
him.
can understand
Speak
him.
clearly.
You can speak
Yeah.
our language.
Yeah, like that was like silly, and then I didn't even mind when they took him to the same doctor. It was like, oh yeah, my doctor's the same doctor type of thing.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say with that is like in this world, there's no way that they wouldn't know that each other exist.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that
what they're
but,
going with.
I don't know, I had some good laughs in the movie, though. I gotta say, that's what really surprised me going into the movie. I thought it was gonna be more of just them coasting on the charisma, but I really again, I had some good laughs. I think, what was it, the hotel they went to, and then Brad Pitt just wanted to get the hell out of it because it was disgusting, had cockroaches all over it, and they're questioning the kid, and he's got that story that's just rambling, they're both like, "Just shut up and tell us what we need to know." I had some good laughs about that.
Yeah, yeah. I
Or when
don't
he's
know.
sitting there
Maybe.
drinking the Coke while Clooney's doing all the work, I just that one was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose for me, I just felt it was a little bit like easy. You know, you've got
Yeah.
two amazing actors here, and you just
Oh,
go
yeah,
with a simple.
it's
Like, 'cause
not
I'm sure I've
challenging
seen.
them. This is pretty much like I said, if you see the trailer for this and you go, "Okay, that's Clooney and Pitt being Clooney and Pitt," that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're getting. You're not getting them trying to, be some different type of character. They're just being themselves. In fact, they don't even have names in the movie, so we're just referring to them as
Yeah.
Clooney and Pitt because that's how we know
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. 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 And that is it. Yeah. That's it. I don't know. You know, if you had, it's almost like, okay, you know, we're going to get these two into a film. How can we write this film? What kind of film could we do? And I would almost say, like, okay, I've got this concept of a film. Do you remember that wolf character in Pulp Fiction? Yeah, well, we're going to make a film about like modern day ones of those. And we're kind of thinking Pitt and Clooney vibes. You know what I mean? Like that's, and then they just
Oh,
kind of
god.
gone around it.
I would kill to have a Mr. Wolf movie. Well, that's what Quentin should go out on, his 10th movie. It should be a Mr. Wolf movie.
Yeah, and that again, that was played for comedic effect, and that for me,
Pretty please. With
that
sugar on
kind of
top.
worked.
Clean the fucking car.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, I don't know. And then the other bit with like so the wedding scene, I thought was like, come on, like this is getting ridiculous now. Like everywhere you go, like you guys are supposed to, I didn't even know guys like you existed, and yet everywhere they go, they're fucking like, oh no, I can't go in there because this thing is like, you know, this place is the I've worked for this guy, like,
Right,
oh,
the
what the fucking,
Argentinians or what was the other
yeah, what the
Croatians?
fucking chances of that? And then it just became way too convoluted. Like initially when they were like, "Yeah, we need you to return the drugs." Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah, that would have just
why.
been dumped with the body, and that would have been
Just
that.
dump them with the body
Yeah.
somewhere, like fucking in the river. Like, why would you? Oh yeah, we're gonna return. Like, well, when you return them, they're gonna know who's returned them.
Yeah, but
Do you know
that
what I
was
mean?
the
Like,
point. They're gonna get cleaned at the end of the movie.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have bought that. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have. She's there saying the voice is saying you need to get the drugs away from it. It also doesn't make sense. Why do you need to clean? If these guys have done good jobs for you, and you know they're trustworthy because they give their word and they go for their word, why are you getting rid of them?
Yeah, they never really tell any of that. I thought the
You know what I
same
mean? Like,
thing. Yeah, I was like,
oh
"What,
yeah,
is it
that's
just because 'cause
just
they're getting
because
old now that they need to die?" They don't have any kinda information on anybody.
no, like they don't give a fuck. They just do the job and then that's it. They don't want
Yeah.
any ties. They don't want anything. That's the whole fucking point. So it was just like, oh yeah, what we'll do is we'll do a twist where they're getting done the same
Yeah.
way, even if it doesn't actually
Even
make
though it did
any
kinda
sense.
tie in with the running joke of Clooney always having, like, a conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
And
I
Brad
tell
Pitt
you,
was like, "What are you talking about? That's bullshit." And at the end, it was a conspiracy theory.
yeah. The only bit that got a little bit of a laugh out of me was when they go to the motel, where they eventually go into the jungle room, which was a funny, like when you've got like the jungle noises in the background.
Yeah.
But when when the woman behind the counter is like, "Oh, we do this by the night, and we do this one by the hour," like, blah blah blah, and then Pitt sort of he's not a prostitute, which obviously then ties back to the beginning. I did think that was quite funny, and again, that's largely line delivery and stuff. But apart from that, I wouldn't say I don't think any of the jokes landed for me.
Uh, maybe
Which,
maybe it's just the cultural difference.
yeah, lost in translation, perhaps.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I needed
There
it a bit.
wasn't anyone running around with coconuts making horses sounds.
No. Oh, that's comedy,
See,
isn't it?
that would have made it for you.
That would have. And your father smelled of elderberries.
See, if we'd had one character in a funny French accent,
That was it.
that would
Yeah,
have
yeah.
won it
If
for
you're
you.
English, you got to mock the French. I don't actually know if we have any French listeners. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
No, I do not listen to this. Just go watch it. It's absurd. Merde.
They don't like either of our countries, so.
Jules actually speaks a little bit. Wait, hang on. I thought you guys got on since whatever year it was.
I don't
17.
know. I've heard that
14.
when we go over there, they don't. Well, I guess wherever we travel, nobody likes us.
Oh no. No.
We're the worst
Deej,
tourists in
Deej,
the world. We just run our mouth, and why isn't this like America?
Deej, he speaks some lovely French actually. Don't ask him. I mean, his accent, in whatever language is atrocious, but yeah, he speaks some very good French.
Explains a lot. Explains a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. So I suppose really,
I
I don't
thought
think the
that.
film knew what it wanted.
Yeah, I thought the DA was gonna play
Not very.
more into it at the end, or at some point.
Yeah. She was kind of gone. You thought it could have been like, hey, can we get a favor? Something like that. I don't know. But
Or
yeah,
something
that was
where she
obviously.
was behind, because at the beginning they kind of have things in the background with her posters for re-election where she's all about integrity and all this
Yeah.
stuff. So I thought maybe at the end she was gonna have, some connection to one of these gangs or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It didn't get that clever.
No, and that's what I mean. I think the movie's just by the numbers, quick little, we've got a couple of big names. We've got an average script. We got a competent director who knows. Like, it wasn't a bad looking film as well. Like, some of the shots and stuff were good.
Yeah, like you say, it just falls into. I could see it being a 5 to a 7, just where it kind of average-ish kind of movie, which I don't understand. And maybe you know more than I about these streaming services. How did they make the money? Is it just someone? I mean, I'm sure the budget on this movie couldn't have been cheap when you got two A-listers like Clooney and Pitt. Of course, Apple's got more money than anything, but I don't know.
I mean, apart from those two, they've got one shootout. Everything else could be pretty cheap, right?
I guess. But I'm saying, where does is this a movie like I'm saying I did this as a 7-day free trial. I have no desire, because of watching this. I'm not like, oh, this is amazing content, I need to keep my subscription. I'll be out of this thing by the end of the 7th day. So it's weird. All the streaming service stuff, it always confuses me. Like, how are they making their money? I can understand maybe Apple and Amazon because they've got money from other resources, but I mean, we've watched shit off of Netflix that's been bad, and you're like, damn, this isn't something that inspires me to subscribe. I don't even know why I keep my Netflix. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, is Apple a fairly new subscription service? So maybe it's a bit of that. Like, also, Apple do not need the money, do they?
No.
Like, they're almost dipping their toe in, seeing what they can get. If they throw a little bit of big money at it, I mean, it's like Disney Plus operating at a loss. I imagine this will operate at a loss until they try and. Yeah, like I said, like Jake Gyllenhaal playing in a TV show, an 8-episode show, probably, to get the ball rolling. They get paid that Apple money. They're shown on it. Oh yeah, Apple. Yeah, I've not got that before. Yeah, let me. And then you end up forgetting about the subscription service, like you often do.
Yeah.
Some people aren't as hot on it for that 7-day trial.
And next thing you know, you're just in the groove with it and not thinking about it. I don't know.
I mean, both him and Clooney were producers on it. I did see, but I mean, how much that actually? Producers, like the thing you almost can. Oh, by the way, I want my name on the production thing. Even if you've not done fuck all, it's just like a little thing.
just because it says George Clooney and Brad Pitt on it, that gives it more credence or anything like that.
So I mean, I was seeing here, just apparently Brad Pitt earns $20 million per movie.
God. Well, that's what happened. I'm sure Clooney's right there with him.
Yeah, it's got to be. Let's have a look. It can't be much. Can't be much less. Apparently 20 million per role as well. I mean, maybe he takes a little bit of a cut because we'll make you a producer and we'll give you some sort of other incentive regarding, maybe he gets a free iPhone every year. That saves him
What a
£1.
deal.
Yeah, unlimited minutes, unlimited calls.
He doesn't have to wait till 9 o'clock at night before he can call people.
No, that's right. And if George and Brad can probably sort of call each other for free if it's about film.
Friends and family.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they that must be how they operate. They just don't care. But yeah,
Yeah, I know there's not a lot really to talk about with this movie.
there's not a great deal.
It's just an entertaining kind of put it on a Sunday afternoon when you got nothing else going on, or
I guarantee in 6 months this is forgotten about. This is
I probably I wouldn't even give it that long. We'll be like with Argyle. We'll be like, did that come out this year? Why shit.
Yeah. I didn't actually mind that. I prefer that to this, although it did get a bit silly. I don't know why are films always doing this.
I don't think you liked Argyle, if I remember right.
I don't think
either one of us
it's
did.
terrible. I think maybe it lost me. I think it lost me.
Yeah, it went too far over the edge.
They did.
Guys, what does it say about this movie that we're talking about a review we did like 8 months ago?
Yeah, I didn't care for this prostitute guy. Like, there wasn't. Do you know what I mean? At the beginning of the film, he's a dead body. I'm just waiting for him to chuck in a river, and then when he wakes up, I didn't. When he was, I was thinking, just shoot him and be done with it. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I wasn't like, oh no, they built a bond with him. Don't do it.
Yeah, well, that was sort of the point of the movie, Hatch. They're at a point in their lives that they have more of a moral code, where they think that killing this kid is not worth it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but they also, you also never see that they're killers, apart from when they defend themselves against the other gang members. Apart from that, which is pretty fair enough. They're shooting at you, then I'd say you're pretty all right to shoot back. Yeah. And they've got some proficiency. That was cool. That was I mean, again, they did the silly bit of like, oh no, I've chucked the gun. Like, what? Do you know what I mean? Why have you got to do that? Why have you?
But they did make up for it, Hatch, though, when Pitt actually tries to fix the range on his gun. I was like, I was like, that's pretty good. You don't ever see that in movie. Usually they just grab a gun and they start shooting. You're like, no, it's not really that easy.
Yeah, I did like that. Although at the ranges they were at, I don't know.
Yeah, true, fair enough. But it was a nice little touch that you don't see very often.
Nice touch. Agreed. I mean, the classic gang members just like, oh yeah, let's just fire on full auto at the obviously bulletproof car. Then wait for the reload, and then not to enter any cover, and then job done.
Yes, and the heroes don't miss.
The heroes don't miss. And then our prostitute man, who's not a prostitute, who's now a drug runner, just happens to have got himself
somehow
another bulletproof car, and avoided all of the bloodshed.
It's a movie.
It is. I mean, but this is it. This is exactly what.
And those are the silly lines that it crosses, where you're like, oh, I wish it would have just kind of stepped back away from that a little bit more.
Full on movie mode, no attempt to like. I would go as far as say this has got minimal attempt to actually create a world in which the wolves actually operate, because they'd 100% know each other existed, because everybody else seems to know about both of them.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's almost a bit like the John Wick. What do you mean there are other secret agents? Who the fuck do you think else is at this hotel? Why do you think we have these weird things where you can just buy guns here? Like, obviously everyone here is an assassin. Like, again, you've got this underground doctor who's seeing different people. You know what I mean? Like, why would you not? Why would you not know? Why would you not tell him?
And that they both think they're the only ones that do this. It is a stretch of the imagination, because you're like, come on, all the people in New York City, they're going to have all these issues, and you'd be getting jobs left and right.
If anything, I'd have liked it if they did the whole thing, and then they were like, oh, where do you get your guns? Oh, I get this guy up in here. Where do you get yours? Oh, I go to this other guy down here. And then maybe they've got like weird ways or different ways of doing things. That would be more interesting. You know what I mean? And then they're working together, but they're basically the same people.
Yeah.
They're just so big, but yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I won't be watching it again. I got no interest in watching this again.
Well,
And ultimately,
I kind of, yeah, I watched it the second time and I still had some good
you
laughs
still
in it.
liked it. Yeah. I mean, if you were paying for that subscription, would that have changed that? I mean, you with this 7-day trial.
If I was paying $9 a month,
Yeah.
I would still have enjoyed it. I was, like I said, I was surprised at how good it was for being not only a streaming, but on Apple. I didn't know hardly anything. I knew there was an Apple service, but I was not expecting anything out of this. I really, when you said about Clooney and Pitt just phoning it in, that is exactly what I thought was going to happen. And I don't think they phoned it in. Like you said, I think it was more just them being them and giving a good performance, not just being like, say your lines, get to the next scene. So to me, yeah.
All
I
right.
think if I went to the movies and saw this, it would have gotten a less score.
Yeah. I think if you were actually paying money for this, it's in the cinema, and you're going for this whole thing, then.
But even at that, it'd have been probably a 6, which is about average as most of the shit we watched this year is probably about a 6.
Yeah, I take it you're not going to change from your 7.
I'm not. I like I said, I enjoyed it. I think for what it was, if you go into it, just this is a streaming service and this is a George Clooney, Brad Pitt fun movie, then you're going to get what you expect.
Well, that does give us then a 6 out of 10 as our average Just Go Watch score. DJ's given me use of the Just Go Watch calculator app. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
Passed all the security codes and everything.
Yeah, he'll change them though. I have no doubt he'll change them once he's back.
He told me it was too complicated for me, that my American brain could not handle it.
We used some of the English, the old English alphabet as well for the password.
Yeah.
So Rotten Tomatoes, then this is what we do have some figures for, although not many, because it's obviously only been out this weekend. What do you think?
I will say critics. I think the critics might kind of line up with us and go about we'll say 65%, and audience, they're usually a little higher. I'll go 70% audience.
Ooh, so 68 for critics, so very close there, but 53 for audience.
Ooh, well, they're more in line with you.
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of, a very, very quick glance at some of these audience reviews. One of them is the first word is meh. So,
okay, fair enough. I can see that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's generally it. I think you're going to get people who think, yeah, this was kind of meh, and then others, see it as a fun, enjoyable streaming movie that you can watch on your sofa.
Like me.
Both aren't, and no one's incorrect then. No one's incorrect. Everyone,
everyone is happy. It's a happy review this week, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between.
Exactly. No one's getting called any kind of offensive names or accused of anything that YouTube wouldn't allow. So that's it. That's pretty much it.
We might get some views on this one. The algorithm might like us.
Exactly. It's currently under 40 minutes, so that might be the golden thing. Maybe that's it. Let's just talk until it goes over, and then we can just get out of it.
We'll throw all of what Deej would say in inappropriate language right out at the end here.
Yeah, just rub it in. But, yeah, so that was Wolves, out now on Apple. If you ask me, unless you're getting it on that 7-day free trial, don't bother with it. However, maybe.
I would say just go watch.
Oh, he's done it. I've
done it.